So I'm sure a lot of you know this, but Dead Space is one of my favorite games of all time. Yes, I am infamous for having the worst cosplay of all time, and it was themed around Dead Space. But that notwithstanding, I want to talk about this new Dead Space game that EA is making, what we know about it, and why I think it is the first remake that I have thought to be truly unnecessary. Let's get into it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content. I'm going to try the promo in the front this time. Anyway, I'm talking about Dead Space making a comeback. Now, this story made the rounds sort of last week, and largely we know that Dead Space is being remade by EA Motive. They're responsible for games like Star Wars Squadron, Star Wars Battlefront 2. And the quote from VentureBeat, again, this is another leak from Jeff Grubb, says, for its Dead Space game, Motive is taking notes from Capcom's Resident Evil remakes, like Resident Evil 2 Remake. Expect the next Dead Space to use the original game as a strong foundation, but it should also have modern visuals, and it will likely bring in new gameplay mechanics inspired by other entries in the franchise. So, largely, I don't think that this is one of the games that need a remake. The original Dead Space, there's this fantastic Ars Technica piece. They do this series called War Stories, and they actually talked with one of the original creators. And he discussed, Glenn Schofield, he discussed what it took to make this game. And the limitations at the time were largely tied to loading screens and, clever ways that you would sort of hide going from one section of the game to the other. There's like a tram system, for example. But the point is, they utilize those so expertly to further enhance the level of terror that you experience as a player that I don't really think that this game needs a reboot or a remake. I feel like the original Dead Space trilogy, especially if you're playing on PC, could easily just get a next-gen update and hold its own, so to speak. I can go play Dead Space today, and it is still absolutely terrifying. So I brought up the Ars Technica piece and the news about the story because I'm sure you're looking to hear about that. But one thing you might not realize is that Glenn has since gone on to make the Callisto Protocol. Now, the Callisto Protocol, if we go over to Wikipedia, it says the Callisto Protocol is an upcoming third-person survival horror game scheduled for 2022. It's being developed by Striking Distance Studios, founded by Glenn Schofield, who had previously co-created the Dead Space series, and he is in that Ars Technica piece where they talk about war stories from game development. And the specific example he talks about is when the tentacle monster grabs you and then pulls you, and you have to shoot off the red parts of the monster. So anyway, the game is set in the same narrative universe as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, though set several centuries in the future. So it's really interesting that they even tie it to PUBG at all, because if you look at it, you're at a prison called Black Iron. It's operated by the United Jupiter Company and located on Jupiter's moon, Callisto. So it's so far detached from whatever is happening in PUBG that it's crazy. Anyway, the player takes the role of a prisoner held at Black Iron, finding themselves in the midst of an alien invasion that appears to have been engineered by the prison's warden. And this began development in 2019. And as you may know, Visceral is basically gone at this point. I don't know what. I think they got rid of Visceral, which is a huge bummer because they made the Dead Space series. Now, I don't think they need to go back to the originals. And the point that I'm trying to make is that if you want to play a scary game by one of the creators, you should play the Callisto Protocol when it comes out in 2022. It's odd to me that they would remaster Dead Space because Dead Space is already so tremendously well done that, in my opinion, it doesn't need a remaster, especially if you go back and you play the 360 version, which I believe was free at one point. I think the whole series is available on Game Pass right now. If you're on the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 4, you can don't quote me on this, but it's probably available on PlayStation now. Point is, you can buy this easily for very cheap. It's a fantastic series and it scales really well to modern media. I'm quite surprised that they would need to remake it. If you're not familiar with Dead Space, according to Wikipedia, is a sci-fi horror video game series and media franchise created by Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey, developed by Visceral Games and published and owned by Electronic Arts. The franchise centers on a series of video games and includes 2 films and several comic book novels set in a 26th century science fiction universe featuring environments, weapons, and characters typical of the genre. So there's 3 entries. It all follows Isaac Clarke, and the first entry is the only one that I think you really, really need to play. It is one of the scariest games I've ever played. It will for all time be one of my favorites of all time. And everything that they did with it, from the movement to how you run, it's all centered around scaring the player. And that's why I'm concerned about a remaster where they're going to potentially go in and start messing around with stuff. Now, this was reported this month, July 2021. It's a remake of the first game. Again, similar to the Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 remake being developed at Motive Studios. Now, I'm sure what they're going to do is likely something like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition remaster. So maybe after years of saying remasters won't work, we're not going to do remasters anymore, they tried a remaster and it sold tremendously well and everybody loved it. So EA is sort of coming around on that topic. But I don't want them to go down this path. I would rather have seen EA Motive take their shot at the franchise and totally remake the game than remaster a game that is already excellent. And especially if you're playing on PC, is currently up to date. I have to imagine, to set your expectations, I would expect something similar to what they did with Mass Effect 2 and 3. They're probably going to use, maybe they even developed the technology. Maybe they're just going to use 4K AI upscaling to upres the textures and everything like that. And then some hand touches to make sure that the game looks the best it possibly could. And Dead Space is already a phenomenal game. But my reasoning for not doing a remaster boils down to this. The original is absolutely superb. It, in my opinion, it does not need a remake. It just doesn't. I mean, the messed up thing is I say all this, I talk about this video, and I would probably still buy this game. I'm trying to look right now to see what engine it was developed in, because if it was developed in Unreal, Unreal also has held up tremendously well over the years. It looks like an Unreal game to me, but don't quote me on that because I can't find the engine that it was developed in. Regardless, thank you so much for watching this video. If I see it. Oh, Visceral also made Dante's Inferno, which I really liked. Man, Visceral going away is a huge, huge bummer to me. Visceral Games, let's see here. Did they end? Yeah, Fate. Dissolved and merged into EA Vancouver and EA Montreal. So it's weird. It's weird that EA Visceral will have nothing to do with the franchise that they helped create. I'm getting old, everybody. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like these sort of rambles, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing. You can subscribe for free. Of course, everybody can subscribe for free. And also memberships are turned on. Wow, Destin. Memberships are turned on. Memberships are a thing YouTube offers to content creators where you can support them directly. Thank you to everybody who has become a member. Hopefully I am a little bit more cohesive for the next video. I don't think a Dead Space remake is necessary. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Just make a new Dead Space. Don't remake it. Oh no.